truth is we can try to produce and kind of hobble along and, put out work that we think is going to be great. But if the Lord is calling us to something, it's not going to work anyway.
95% of my interaction with the Lord about work is what not to do. He's very loud when it's something I'm not supposed to do. But he is very gracious to give me a whole bunch of options about what I can do. Welcome to the show today. You're in the right place because we are in the Your Work Matters series, and I'm so excited about the shows that I have for you this week and next week as they show two very different parts of our work life. Today, I am back with my brilliant friend, my Called Creatives co-founder, and the person who has been on this show the most after me. You know her, you love her, Lisa Whittle. Today we're talking about work, and we're talking about revival and the different seasons that God will put us through in our work life. Really, really good stuff. Lisa is, of course, a deep well. We're going to have a good time. I learned a lot from her, as I always do. You're going to learn a lot from her. And after we talk with Lisa, you know it's time for coaching. Today, I'm bringing you my system for optimizing the day so I can do the best work in the shortest amount of time possible. The thing about productivity, the reason I'm obsessed with it, not so I can just always pack more work into my day. The working hours I have, I want to get everything done. I don't want to have to work a 10-hour day. I want to work an 8-hour day. Or for you may not want to work a 6-hour day. You want to work a 4-hour day. That's what I want to help you with. Think about it as super productivity the easy way. And today is the first day of the Build Your Coaching Business Quick Start. It is not too late to join. If you want to join, if you have any interest in building a coaching business at all, go to allieworthington.com/quick start. And for the final segment of the show today, I'm bringing you something you're going to want to add to what you eat every day. For real. Something that's important, but it's never talked about. Okay, time for my friend, Lisa Whittle. Lisa, did you know that you have the coveted spot? I don't know if it's coveted, but let's pretend it's coveted. Wait, we don't want people to covet. You have the special spot of being the guest that's been on the Allie Worthington show more than any other guest. How does it feel? Is this an achievement you've always wanted?
It is. I never win anything, so I feel like, where's my trophy? Where's my medal? Where's my trophy?
I'm going to work on a trophy. I feel like you need one of those stand-up trophies that could go in your office. It'd be super cute.
Thank you. Yes, I will receive it.
Okay, so I think it's interesting this time, and I think everyone's going to find it interesting that I'm interviewing you in the middle of our series called Your Work Matters. And I'm taking a pretty different route. I want us to talk about when you texted me and said, hey, do you have time for a phone call? I'm making some changes to my life, and I just wanted to give you a heads up. I'm not quoting that directly, which then you followed up with the most important text that you've ever texted me ever, which was, don't worry, it's nothing bad. Because when anybody texts you, because you're not only a friend, you're a business partner too, right?
That's right.
So It was like, I'm making some big changes to my life. Do you have time to put in your schedule for us to discuss? The first thought is like, well, I don't know. Let me figure out the worst case scenario and doom scroll and map it out in my brain, right? And you're like, it's nothing bad. So I was less panicked because it was nothing bad. I was like, okay, well, like what in her life does she need to brief me on? And we had this conversation that was full of discussion of where you were going in your work for this season and what God was calling you to and revival. Talk to me and talk to everyone. Share with everyone what God has done in your heart the last few months in regards to your work.
Yeah. Well, first of all, it's so awesome to be paired with someone in work who, loves you and cares about you, because it's always scary when you have someone that you are partnered with that says, I'm going to make a change. That's a big deal, because you are hitched in your wagon to somebody. And so, but the Lord is good when you're in work with someone who also loves the Lord. So that's important, I think. Yeah, I mean, you know this. When I was coming into 2023, I came in gosh, hobbling in. I was really, really overworked. I love to work, you know this, and so work for me is always just thrilling. It's an outlet. I'm high capacity. I enjoy it, and so I found myself in a space though where I was trying to manage other people's overwhelm that were working around me and with me. And I also am I'm a counselor at heart. So I take on a lot of people's emotional things that are happening with them, and I care deeply. And so I think where I found myself then was just knowing that I needed to make some massive changes in the way that I did work and the way that I worked with others. And so for the last year, the Lord and I have been really, really working on that. But in that space, as I was coming into 2023, God was calling me to a place of personal revival. Now, I didn't know exactly what that meant, but I did know from having been in that space really a decade ago, 12 years ago, essentially, when I was in a similar place, that it was going to be something that was going to be personal that I would need to make some bandwidth for in my life, because I don't typically have a lot of extra free time. People will say, like, what do you do in your free time? I'm like, what free time? I don't have free time. And I don't say that to brag. I just say that I'm not a person that feels like I need a lot of free time. But when you find yourself not having a lot of time for the Lord, someone that you love more than anything, then that becomes a problem. And so it was just through a series of events this year, the Lord just was speaking to me about this place of revival. And so as I entered into 2024, really a couple months before, the Lord began to be very specific with me about what that would look like. And for me, my podcast has become a place that I've experienced great growth and that I love so very much. We've just, developed such a global audience and had great success. And so that became a place that the Lord had asked me to pause with new content. And I just didn't understand why, because why would you do that when you have great momentum? But anytime the Lord has asked me to do something like that, it has always been for the good and not usually something that I could understand why. And so after over 1,200 shows, that's going to be a place that I put a little bit of a pause on to create more space for the Lord and hopefully experience some revival, listen to what he has to say to me. It turns out you need to hear from God sometimes in a different way. So I'm excited to do that. So in that workspace, I'm going to be doing that for a period of time, and also some other things that I do in work. So yeah, that's kind of the high level view of what's going on.
Okay. And you don't know how long it'll last. The Lord just said, put a pause on this, put a pause on the podcast. And then there's some other things in your business you're changing. Mm-hmm. And you went, okay, time frame, did you ask specifics?
Yeah. I mean, I always want to know specifics. I'm a detailed person. I make lists. Mm-hmm. I would like to know from the Lord when, how, and what that's going to look like. I'm very agenda driven. So when you can imagine, when there was really no other kind of directive other than I want you to pause this, it was pretty confusing to me. There were two things that I think were at play. One was the Lord began to really, speak to me about getting used to the words, I don't know. I don't really like that. So those three words needed to be in my vocabulary, I don't know, and not feel the pressure of reporting back to others, even people that I love very much, which are people that are listeners of the podcast and so forth, of an exact date when the new shows would come back. But there were a few things that the Lord showed me, like, feeling very compelled that the shows would come back, but when that would happen. But I can't tell you. I don't know. But yeah, I certainly wanted to know for sure, Allie. I'm not a serial killer. I want to know things like that. I mean, come on. Don't we all want to know all the details?
Wait, what would not wanting to know details, how would that make you a serial killer?
You can edit that out if you hate that part. I mean,
no. I just wanted to go down that road.
I mean, listen, what I'm saying by that is a normal person wants to know details. I am a normal person and I want to know details. I am not highly I'm not so highly spiritual that I'm going to sit there and go, okay, Lord, thank you so much for not telling me all the things that I want to know. What I have learned through the years, because I am not young, is that I can trust God when he tells me something that I feel is important for work as well as my life. It's all intertwined, Allie. We know this. It's all intertwined. And so I felt it was very important to do what he says to do, because the truth is we can try to produce and kind of hobble along and put out work that we think is going to be great, but if the Lord is calling us to something, it's not going to work anyway, and if we don't listen.
Amen to that.
Yeah.
It reminds me, it's a little bit different because he's also given you the comfort that your show's going to come back. It reminds me of, the two biggest times that he has been very clear in my career. One was to shut down Blistum, and the other one was to leave Rappel when I was there. Those things are pretty final. But it also took me months and months and months, if not a year, to obey.
Yeah.
You're getting a good with obedience. I mean, how is this like you finally got clarity and then you're like, boom, time to obey God? Or did you have to wrestle a little bit? Because I'm a wrestler and a runner.
Yeah, no, I'm a wrestler and a runner. You know that too. Also, I wouldn't say there's the comfort that the show will come back. I mean, yes, I feel in my spirit that it will, but at the same time, you know as well as I do that you stop producing for folks sometimes. You can kill momentum. You could kill a show. Like, there's lots of other podcasts people can listen to. Will I still have an audience when I come back? I mean, there is no guarantee for anything. And I think there's always that fear that you will lose relevance in some way from everything that you've built, right? I mean, this is a show that I love. This is a show that I've worked hard on, and nobody wants to feel like you are going to disappoint people, go away, they won't be there when you come back, and there's always that looming fear. So I think while I do feel like the show will come back, I don't know, and I don't know when. So I think there's that piece of it. And I also think that it would be really wrong for me to have a lot of backup plans. That is what I would love. That's what Lisa Whittle would love to do. But I also think that's not part of faith, and that's not part of trust. And so I have to be really careful not to do that, or I will in a heartbeat. Did I obey quickly? I think when I realized where this was going, I knew, and I did draw on my experience 12 years ago of, when God speaks to me about something that I know is right but hard, that I need to do it quickly, because my whole life I have been a runner, Allie, and my whole life I have been a wrestler, but it's just never worked. And so, I think I'd like to think that along the way I have learned that, but that does not mean I go down easy. I still have a lot of moments where I've been like, are you sure, God? This doesn't sit well with me. And of course, you make a decision, by the way, and then all of a sudden 7 people come out of the woodwork and say, your show's a lifeline for me. I'm listening in over in Malta, and it's like the best thing I've ever heard in my life. And last week I won an award for my show. Well, that's right after
why did you not text me and immediately tell me? That's ridiculous.
Well, I don't celebrate well. But the point being, these things happen when you make these decisions. And I firmly believe that sometimes it's like, I don't know, Satan dangling something and going,
100% it is.
You could stay in this and look at the success. But yeah.
Well, and I think you're right when you said earlier that the only guarantee is the guarantee that if you continue doing something God doesn't want you to do, you won't get any results at all.
Yeah.
That's the one guarantee in this.
Yeah. I've lived a disobedient life in many ways. Whether it was in college and I was not doing what I needed to do and I knew what was right, or, just kind of ignoring the call of God on my life, which I think many, many women especially do, because we feel like we're unworthy, or we, are afraid, or people have not been supportive, whatever the reason is that we run away. Or it's just a hard decision and we don't want to make it. I don't know. I've been that woman. I've been that woman in every scenario, Allie. And I just think at the end of the day, I have to believe what I preach to other people, which is that when you do it God's way, even though it's hard, that there will be something that you don't know that He knows better about that will work. In that, though, I have to say, you have to be willing to lose it. You have to be willing to lose everything, which is a horrifying thought, by the way. I have to be willing to lose my show. Do I want to? No. But again, if I hold on to it, I might lose it anyway. It might not work anyway. I remember one time that this just came into my mind. I remember one time I really wanted to work with a speaking agent. This is such a random story. Maybe it'll be good, or maybe you'll hate it. But I wanted to work with a speaking agent, and I remember thinking that I needed to level up. I was like, I got to level up. I got to work with a speaking agent. This is years and years ago. I probably had two people that would ask me to speak per year, but I thought, I'm really ready for one, right? This is what cool people do.
It's time.
And I asked someone to be my speaking agent, and I remember in my spirit, I knew I wasn't ready for one, and I knew I was only doing it to be cool. I came to the point where the speaking inquiries were drying up. And in fact, I remember this. It was the craziest thing that the people that were actually asking me to speak, for one reason or another, they were then canceling. So it was even more than just now they were drying up. People weren't asking me. It was the engagements that I did have were canceling randomly. And I remember thinking, God, are you trying to tell me something here? And after a while, I finally was like, okay, I guess you want me to fire this person that I had worked for me that I knew in the first place. I wasn't supposed to get a speaker agent. Nothing wrong with them, by the way. They're great. But I just knew I wasn't supposed to have one. And so I fired her, and immediately within a week, I got 5 speaking inquiries. Wow. And so I just knew. I was like, okay, I get the picture. But, that might seem like a small example, but for me, it was one of those moments in time where I thought, I think I'm going to obey what God says. I think when I have a sense that He doesn't want me to do something, or He does want me to do something, I think I'm going to go with it. Because at the end of the day, if I don't, things probably aren't going to go well for me anyway.
That's the thing. And I think it's really important for us to have this conversation with everyone right now, because whether someone is an entrepreneur or a solopreneur or gainfully employed, whatever their work is, or just dreaming about building something, we want to learn to listen to the Lord about what to do and what not to do. Generally, 95% of my interaction with the Lord about work is what not to do. He's very loud when it's something I'm not supposed to do, but He is very gracious to give me a whole bunch of options about what I can do. Mm-hmm. Whatever you want to do, daughter, it's going to be fine. But mm-hmm. I'm not going to lay out a path for you and tell you exactly do this and exactly do this, exactly do this. But when it's something you're not supposed to do, I'm going to get really clear. And we can be disobedient by continuing to do something we're not supposed to do, but we can also be disobedient by not doing what the Lord's told us to do. I mean, we started Called Creatives to help women write their books and speak. Right. Because so many women will get the idea, I should start speaking. I should be on a stage. And then they'll go, oh, is that just my ego? And we're like, no. The greatest fear people have is being on a stage and speaking. If there is anything inside of you that says, I think I may want to do that, it's probably the Lord, I mean, it is disobedience not to invest in what the Lord's calling you to, whether it's writing or speaking or a business or a different job opportunity, just like it's disobedience to keep going when you shouldn't. I was telling someone recently, a client was kind of commiserating with me a little bit because the Lord kept telling her no on something. And I said, I started praying about building my first course in 2011. And the Lord said, nope, nope, nope. And every year or two, I'd be like, Lord, I'm ready to build my course. And I'd hear very clear, nope, 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 nope. And I got no's until I built the coach school. And I realize now, I thought I knew what I needed to teach. I thought I would be a good teacher. I thought I could do a good job. No, the Lord needed me to develop some stuff, to learn some stuff, and to uniquely develop that one thing. It wasn't a no forever, but I could have just been like, well, the Lord says no, but surely I'm hearing that in my own head because I really want to do it. And I would have developed a course and it would have bombed. Right? I mean, that's the thing, kind of tuning our ear to go, like, just help me not run my career into a ditch. Help me not create a product that's going to be terrible. Help me not keep going when you need me to work on things. So for you, all of this, it's not really a mystery why you need to pause it. You know, the Lord's calling you to revival.
Yeah. And I think, probably people listening are as they're hearing us talk about this, their thought process is, well, gosh, I wish God would just give me directions. I would do it if he would just, speak to me. I don't want to give the false idea that, the Lord and I are just in this constant dialogue and he's just constantly downloading things to me all the time.
Wouldn't that be great?
It would be great. I think the reason why, sometimes authors write stories about when God speaks to them is because they're so few and far between. They're just really memorable,
Yeah, true.
But, and I think that's the case for me. This was quite clear that I needed to make that bandwidth. And I think a lot of things are also common sense, Allie, and that is the sense, when you have the Lord and, he's a part of your life, which is why I think, to do business without having faith, to do, any of your work without having God, would just be extraordinarily hard. So I'm so grateful for that integration because our life, everything that we do, whether it's parenting, work, podcasting, writing, all that, it's all intertwined, and when you're talking about people saying, oh, is it my ego, whatever, it makes me want to laugh because I think, the quickest way to lose your ego, if you actually do have one, is to start speaking or writing or doing any creative work or, launch a business, whatever you want to do. I mean, you'll get humbled very quickly. But, it just became very clear that this was just what I had to do in this season. And it's not what I want to do. I'd like to just keep working my fingers to the bone. It's a joy for me to work. It's a joy for me to produce content for folks, new content all the time. It's, I've often said, like, I don't have a content team. My content is me and the Holy Spirit. When you have done over 1,200 shows on your podcast, that is a lot of talking. That is a lot of writing. I don't phone it in for these shows. It's a lot of topics that we've covered. And I feel very compelled by that to offer that free service to the world. We have listeners truly all over the world. But I also have no false idea that I'm not here to make disciples of me. And so I do feel at a certain point that, as the Lord and I take some space here to have him speak to me, I want to read some books. I want to do personal study. I have no doubt that he will pour into me so that I can pour back into people. And I'm particularly compelled at this point, Allie, too, because we live in a very difficult time. And I think we need leaders who are willing to take a pause. And also, this about me, I'm just not a person that lives by rules. So I feel like there is a point at which we live by our convictions. And that doesn't mean that what other people are doing that, is very, systematic or whatever is wrong. It means that we all have to figure out for ourselves, how we best operate in a space. Right. And for my personality, the way that God has created me and wired me, and I believe gifted me, it is to be, kind of a little bit left of center. And I'm always in that space a bit. And, that's just where I operate. Sometimes I wish that I was a little bit better at following rules. Sometimes I wish I was a little bit better at just kind of just going along and doing but I just can't live like that. And I just don't believe that's my call. So my challenge, I think, to others would be just to say, where's God created you? You and I talk about this all the time with women and called creatives. It'll be what we always talk with them about. What has God called you to do? What has he gifted you to do? Where has he Where is he calling you now? I think you need to be reevaluating all the time. And, do what is important and necessary to be able to lead others well. And that's kind of where I am now. I am by no means going away. I'm going to be doing things even more than ever. And I think that's the difference too, Allie. One of the reasons why I have the confidence that God has called me to this place of revival is I really did have a conversation with the Lord. Like, are you asking me to silence my voice in a time that doesn't make sense to me? Because I feel like we are always encouraging women to speak. And I feel that's so important for women to use their voice in this time. There's a global audience with podcasting and with social media. And so I'm like, why would you want me to not speak at this point? And the Lord really spoke to me and said, there's a difference between me asking you to pause a few things and quiet your voice in a certain space and me asking you to go dark and silence your voice. And I am certainly not wanting you to go dark and silence your voice. So I'll be on social media more than ever. And if you want to hear any of my podcasts, there's plenty that you can listen to. So
1,200.
Yeah.
Okay. I want to touch on revival because I know, and I'm assuming the world doesn't know that you haven't shared it that much. I know that I Want God is your heart message. Like that's your career message. That's if someone said, hey, magic wand, all your books are going away except for one.
Yep.
What book are you keeping? What book are you most proud of? What do you feel is life-changing? It's I Want God. And it's no coincidence that I Want God is being re-released in the time that the Lord went, shh, put that podcast on hold. Let's talk about that.
I'm so glad you brought this up. I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but I'm going to say it on your podcast. We might have to ask this to be cut later. But I Want God, people don't know, but I fought for this book in a way that I've never fought for any book before. I actually bought the rights back to this book from an old publisher. My new publisher bought it from me. That's really tough to maneuver in the publishing world, but I want you women to know that when you have something in your spirit that feels right, you need to go for it. We bought it back. I bought it back. I bought it back personally because I wanted this book. I knew it was going to be re-released. I didn't want it re-released without me. And I wanted this book to have its day. I was a little before my time a decade ago, but I knew this was the time. And this was the moment for a new audience to read a book that was actually, in many ways, because of the Holy Spirit. I don't take the credit for this, but it was a timeless message because the things that are in this book that we actually struggle with now, that I wrote about a decade ago, it just blows my mind. And the answer to how we have revival is in the pages. And so, it's interesting because I look back now, Allie, and the Lisa of a decade ago that wrote this book was not messing around. I think I've lost a little of my edge. And so when I read back at that Lisa, she inspires me to speak bolder. And so it is a dear book to me. If you've ever read Jesus Over Everything, I Want God is a bit of its cousin, but it came before. And there would have been no Jesus Over Everything, The Hard Good, and God knows if there had not been I Want God. It is a book for people who feel desperate, spiritually dead, wanting more in their life. Maybe they feel like they have everything they've ever wanted, but they want more and they don't know why. It's for people who are sick of themselves, who feel like, I don't know why I keep doing the same thing over and over again, but I really want to cut all of this away and I really just want God. Maybe it's somebody who their whole life they've thought, I should want to spend time with God, but I kind of don't want to, and I really don't know why that is. It is my proposal that we will never want to spend time with God if it's just about a checklist. And I've spent many years of my life in that way. I think the church doesn't talk about desire, and that's because culture has hijacked the conversation and made it about pleasure and sex and self-indulgence. And that's not actually what it's really about. And so all of those reasons make me so excited that I Want God is making a comeback. And if you haven't read it, caution tape, it is not for the faint of heart, but I think it will compel something inside of you that perhaps you haven't known is there or has been lying dormant for a very long time.
Well, you inspired me when you told me about what you were doing and what God was calling you to. And you said, I know what personal revival did for me a decade ago, which caused me to write this book. And I'm excited to lean into revival all over again in a fresh way. And I was like, I think I need to read that book. I didn't read it a decade ago. I think it's my turn now. So
Yeah.
I'm excited about it. So,
Thank you.
we'll probably have you on 5 or 6 more times and you can tell us what happened in this period.
Let's do it.
I'm excited about it.
T-
Okay, we
to be
already
continued.
know your Enneagram. You've
Yeah.
got big 8 energy. We already know about you. So I'm only going to ask you one question, Lisa Whittle. What's your favorite cosmetic right now?
You know what I'm using right now, and the makeup police may just go ahead and pull me over, but
Uh-oh.
I have been a makeup artist, so I feel like I reserve the right to say something that may surprise people.
Okay.
I am actually loving a foundation that is Revlon. I've pulled it out of my bag so I can remember. It is the Color Stay Full Cover Foundation. Now, women of a certain age need a little bit more coverage. Why are you shaking your head?
I have red flags. First of
What?
all,
What?
once I hit my 40s, there's no foundation anymore. It makes me look like I'm in my 70s. It makes every little wrinkle pop up.
Do I look like I'm in my 70s?
No.
Okay. Well, I like this.
Okay.
And it comes in it comes in a tube.
It's
And
adorable.
I think it's really, really good. I like the coverage. I cannot imagine if I did not wear foundation. What in the world? Maybe you just have better skin than me.
Do you wear it every day?
I don't wear it every day, but I do wear
Well,
it like
every day you wear makeup.
I have it on right now.
Oh, I
I
just
like
do tinted moisturizer.
okay. Well, I like the way that it covers. And I think that it gives like a nice coverage. I have tried other people's recommendations, like, you know, the online stuff that people, they just swear by it. I think this is a really nice, creamy coverage, and it tends to stay.
Okay, the moisture in foundation is key because that will help it not age you. And it's true. You don't look like you have cakey skin. Like when I mean, of course not now, but when I'm in person and I'm all up close to you, you don't look like you're wearing foundation that dries you out. So
Okay.
I will give that a thumbs up. I didn't even
Okay.
know you wear foundation.
I do. Yeah, I wear foundation and powder. Do you wear powder?
I wear lots of powder because I wear lots of moisturizer and, at night it's Aquaphor, so I'm always greasy.
Yeah.
I swear
I
that
hear you.
Aquaphor hangs out all day.
Listen,
These are the important things. We need to talk about careers. We need to talk about revival, and we need to talk about makeup. I mean,
Yes.
that's pretty much us in a nutshell. You add in a conversation about Disney, and that's all we talk about.
That's actually true.
Thank you for coming on the show. Tell everyone
Thank
where to
you.
find you right now because they can listen to the back 1,200 episodes of the podcast.
Do not have me in the grave. I am very much alive, kicking, online. You can find me anywhere. And if you can't find a podcast to listen to of mine, then you're just not paying attention. Because not only do I have a ton of shows, but I've been on a ton of shows. And you can listen to the Cold Creatives podcast that we're still doing. So I am very much around, and you can very much hear my voice.
I love it. Okay, I'm excited to see what God's going to do. I'm inspired. I'm inspired for a little revival myself. I'm reading this one, and I won't wait a decade this time. Thank you
Okay,
for coming back.
Let's go.
We'll probably have you back on tomorrow.
Yay, let's do it.
How great is Lisa, right? We've had so many conversations behind the scenes. It was great to be able to bring that to you and share it with you. I'm giving away copies of her book, of course. Take a screenshot while you are listening to this in a podcast player. Share it on your stories on Instagram. If you are watching this on YouTube, take a screenshot, share it, and tell people, hey, on your stories on Instagram too, hey, this show is on YouTube now. Go give it a watch. And like every YouTuber, I am supposed to tell you to be sure to like and subscribe. Apparently that's YouTuber language. So there you go. Please like and subscribe. Okay, let's move on to the coaching segment of the show. Here's how I maximize my day. I like to think of it as super productivity the easy way. I discovered about 10 years ago that everyone's circadian rhythm, which I talked about last week with a body clock, I talked about the lamp I use on my desk, which imitates sunlight, which helps regulate your internal clock. When I started learning about circadian rhythm and all the benefits of taking care of our circadian rhythm, I realized how powerful it was for our immune system, for our energy, for our mental health. And because of that circadian rhythm, we all have certain times a day when our brain is on and ready to do the hardest work. I became obsessed with finding this out for myself. It turns out 9 to 11 is my magic time. If I focus in and turn off distractions and turn off notifications on my phone, I can get more done in 2 hours than in a 4 or 5 hour afternoon. I learned that I do my best work by positioning myself well. So, in the financial world, you always hear, like, what are your positions? How are you positioned, right? Are you at a lot of risk? Are you not? And I love that concept. How do we position ourselves well? For me, I need to be well positioned with, I need to get at least 7 hours of sleep. I need to exercise early in the morning. Who am I exercising early in the morning? I need to go into the work session well caffeinated. Those are my strong positions. And then to really focus in, it's no phone, no notifications, no taking break to do something fun that I want to do. I just buckle down for 2 hours and knock out the work. If you try this, I promise you that you will be shocked at what all you can do when you figure out your best time. It could be early morning. It could be after lunch. That's amazing if you're an after lunch person. It could be late at night. When I was in my 30s, it was late at night for me. That may have been a product of a crazy sleep schedule with so many kids who woke up at night in just desperation. I don't know. But that's when I did it. So for you, I want you to find the time that works best and then position yourself well. Get sleep, get caffeinated if you drink caffeine, turn off distractions and notifications, and you will get twice as much done as you think you can. It's pretty cool, right? I think so. Okay, now recommendations. I gave you a big promise about what you need to eat. I've shared with you before that I'm on a journey of really transforming my health. My beloved grandfather, Bobby, that was his name. Not Robert, not Bob, Bobby. I loved it. Or Bob, Bob was his nickname. Um, he passed away in September at age 91. And gosh, I don't want to tear up talking about it. I didn't talk about it at the time because it was too hard. And he was so healthy right up until the end. And he was in the creek with the boys, 5 years ago at 86, lifting up rocks and helping them catch crawdads and, doing great grandpa things. And then when I lost him, something just clicked in my life. I never could have planned it. I've wanted something like this to happen in my life for maybe 2 decades. But I was so inspired by his life and how healthy he was at the end. I was inspired to do that for myself. I want to be in great shape when I'm 90. I'm 47 years old. I'm halfway through. If I make it to 90, what is that? 94? That'd be amazing. But I realized that the one thing I have not done for the last 20 years is take care of my health. I've focused on my family primarily. I've taken care of work. I've taken care of clients, but I have not focused on my physical health. So the light flip switched and I went, this is it. This is what I want to do. So I've been studying nutrition. I've been studying exercise. It started in September when I lost him, and I really buckled down in October, and I've never felt so good in my life. I am more energetic. I feel great every day. It's crazy. You're going to hear a lot of health stuff from me. I'm not, I will never tell you do this or don't do this, but I do want to tell you what's working for me, because I will never bring you anything that I'm not trying, that isn't working for. I mean, I did tell you that collagen powder tastes like sucking on horse hooves. So I will tell you the stuff that doesn't work. But in all my research with nutrition and what we should be eating, the one thing I keep finding over and over and over again is fiber. Nobody cares about fiber. Fiber isn't sexy. Fiber's not fun to talk about. But What I've learned is fiber is our digestive system's best friend. It keeps things running smoothly, of course, but it's a great weapon against high cholesterol, and it's a magic wand for blood sugar. It keeps us feeling full. It keeps us feeling satisfied. You probably know all this. But the crazy thing about fiber is I've been learning that it's our gut health that determines how well our immune system functions. And for me, that's pretty wild. So even if like all the other things don't matter to you about fiber, the immune system is a big deal. So upping your fiber intake, yes, it'll keep you full. Yes, it's good for your heart, blah, blah, blah. But immune system, I'm all about that. It's a big deal. Craziest part is we should be getting, as women, about 25 grams of fiber a day, but the average American gets 10 to 15, unless somebody really loves salads and beans. I don't know. So for me, I've been focused on eating high fiber food. I have a great high fiber supplement that adds extra fiber but isn't gross, because I don't want to drink something gritty or disgusting. It is a prebiotic fiber boost that I got on Amazon. I have 3 of us in the family on it so far, so we'll link it on the show notes. It's a tiny scoop of powder that you can't taste in your water or your tea, and it gives you 5 grams of fiber, and it works. It's pretty great. So that's my recommendation this week. Look into how great fiber is for you. It can be an easy switch, just making sure every day you eat something that you like with fiber, and it'll be really, really good for your health. I want to do a health series at some point on the show, but I want to bring in people who are experts. I want to bring in researchers. I want to bring in scientists to give us the scoop. Just like with my last book, with Remaining You While Raising Them, I don't want to just bring you opinions. I want to bring you research, and I want to bring you facts. The world is full of people who get a wild hair and start bringing bad opinions without the facts and research behind it. We're smarter than that. So I'm not going to have a health series with guests until I find the right people, because I deserve it. I want to learn from the right people, and I always want to bring the right people to you because I'm grateful. I'm grateful that you're here. I'm glad you're here this week. I love that we get to have this time together. This is an investment in you. It's an investment in your spiritual health. It's an investment in just your practical life. Because the way that you are building your life, the way that you're investing in yourself, it matters. And every time you grow, every time you develop, every time you have a success, it benefits everyone around you, your family, your coworkers, the people who watch you and go, wow, look how well she's doing, right? The people you lead at work, the people in the PTA. You may not ever hear it, but your success benefits everyone in your life. I believe in what's inside of you. I believe in your dreams. I believe that you are meant to do great things in this world. That's why you're here every week, just investing in yourself. What I know to be true is God has created you to stand strong and bring something special and unique to this world that only you can bring. So keep stepping up, keep showing up, keep loving well, keep ignoring the stuff that doesn't matter. Just brush it off your shoulder. Because the truth is, you can't break a woman who gets her strength from God. I love to get to coach and equip you every week. I hope you have an amazing day, and I'll see you next Monday. I lost my notes. Hold on.
Okay. You want me to start?
I worry that I messed that up. Let me try it. Let me try that again.
You
Wait.
can-
We gotta do it. We gotta do a good edit. Okay.
Oh my gosh. Okay.